Hello, my name is Anna. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking all about neurodivergent, special interests, and hyperfixations. First of all, what are special interests and hyperfixations? Well, a special interest is just how it sounds. It's an interest that's really special to you. Hyperfixations are almost the same. They're also very strong interests, but they don't last long. Special interests can last from 6 months to a year to many years to maybe even your whole life. Hyperfixations can last from days to weeks to months. You usually lose interest in your hyperfixation after a while. But special interests and hyperfixations are both very different from regular interests because of the intensity. They aren't just some silly interest, they're very important for fellow autistics and ADHDers. Hyperfixations can occur with autism and ADHD, but special interests are normally only for the autistic community. That's because most of the autistic community likes sameness and hates change, so they generally stay obsessed with one thing for a long amount of time. Special interests and hyperfixations are specifically for autism and ADHD and other neurodivergent disorders and disabilities. So a neurotypical or autistic person can't have a special interest or hyperfixation. Like I said before, the intensity of these interests make them different from regular interests. Neurotypicals can become interested in something, but not in the same way. Special interests can look different in boys and girls. Many people think that if you're autistic and you have a special interest, then it must be trains or maths, which it can be, but there are so many other different special interests that you can have. Girls' special interests most of the time tend to be to do with psychology or animals. We like to better understand ourselves and the world around us with psychology, and we relate better to animals. Plus, they're just really cute. That doesn't mean that all girls are interested in that stuff though. Autistics and ADHDs are still regular people that have different interests. Not everyone is the same. Some examples are psychology, neurodiversity, autism, ADHD, animals, dinosaurs, plushies, Pokemon, My Little Pony, Bluey, fandoms, any type of book or movie, literally like any hobby, like writing, dancing, singing, anything. Hyperfixations and special interests can be anything. And I mean anything. There's a certain TikToker I follow, and she's ADHD, which means she's autistic and has ADHD. And her past special interest was elephant statues. Not elephants, elephant statues. I'll put her name on screen if you want to follow her, because she's amazing. When I'm interested in something, I rewatch it, reread it, replay it, research all about the characters, about the actors, about the author, buy merch from it, write about it in my journal, listen to music from it, memorize interviews and music, and that's all I think about. When a neurodivergent spends all their time on something, it's called hyperfocusing. Hyperfocusing is basically focusing on something but to a hyper extent. So like spending all your time on that thing. Yes, special interests and hyperfixations are so important for autistics and ADHDs. Special interests and hyperfixations can help us regulate, calm down, or just feel happy. When I'm hyperfixating on something, there's just so much joy, it's just such an exciting feeling. It's very important to encourage your special interests and hyperfixations, and also encourage someone else's special interests and hyperfixations. Many people find the term special interest to be rude or infantilizing. That's because it has the word special in it, and it can make us neurodivergents feel offended. Some other words you can use are passions, intense interests, and eye sparkles. Let me know in the comments if you find the term special interest to be offensive. If you do, what would you like us to use instead? Now that is clear, I want to share my special interests and hyperfixations. So, if you couldn't already tell, my special interest is autism, and my other one is Stranger Things. Autism as psychology is a very common thing for neurodivergents to be hyperfixated on. The brain is just so interesting and unique. Stranger Things is a Netflix series, and as soon as I started watching it, I was totally immersed in it. I would watch all the interviews, listen to all the songs, be able to recite all the interviews and the songs, buy merch from it, rewatch the show itself, know everything about the actors, know everything about behind the scenes, literally everything. Stranger Things and autism are still my special interest, but they have to share my brain space with other things, so sometimes they aren't always my main focus. You can tell what some of my interests are from my bookshelf behind me. So Pokemon was actually a past special interest, I think, for me. So I've got all the evolutions up here. Then on my bookshelf, you can see I've got Stranger Things books, my current special interest. Then I've got some books on autism, again, my current special interest. And Wings of Fire, I just love that series. Then here, and a little Pokemon, and a cute fidget squishy, because that was also a special interest of mine. But yeah, I still love fidgets. Before this video ends, I want to share what info dumping is. Info dumping is short for information dumping, and it's when an autistic or ADHD shares a bunch of facts with you about their interest. Society has viewed this as a bad thing, but it's actually a very good thing, and it's a way of bonding for us. Please respond nicely if someone info dumps to you. Also, your interests aren't babyish or uncool or boring. They're very important, and they should be encouraged. Your special interests are valid, and you should be allowed to info dump. You're always welcome to info dump in the comments of my posts or videos. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Please comment any questions, suggestions, or tips you have for me. Also feel free to info dump in the comments down below. I would love to hear more about your special interests and hyperfixations. Also make sure to engage with other neurodivergents so we can share our interests together. If I got anything wrong or didn't mention anything, please let me know. Well, that's it for this video. Bye!